Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Verse number 14. So, just by way of introducing what is coming next, verse number 14 to about 17, let's see. Verse number 14 to 18 or thereabouts talks about, 14 to 17 primarily, talks about what are the pratibandhas. Pratibandhas means obstacles. What are the obstacles to happiness in a mind that is challenged by the preponderance of ghora and what is the other one? Mudha vrittis. So in a mind that is, which has these vrittis preponderating, predominating, then what happens? So we have spent some time seeing the connection between sattva and a dharmic outlook. A dharmic person is naturally sattvic, and so there is just like there is an affinity between sattva and following a dharmic life, similarly there is an affinity between the preponderance of raga and dvesha within the heart and the ghora and the tamasika vrittis. There is a kind of an affinity. If one is a lover of dharma and one deliberately follows dharma and makes that one's own the primary goal in life, the first purushartha, then sattva naturally grows. The sattva component grows exponentially. And similarly, if one is given to raga dveshas, then there is every chance that dharma is compromised because the raga dveshas predominate. When the raga dveshas predominate, raga means strong preferences, dvesha strong prejudices. So when the raga dvesha predominate, what happens? Then the dharma quotient is low. Naturally. Why? Because the raga and dvesha themselves are not the problem. Because as we saw in the Bhagavad Gita, the verse from the Bhagavad Gita that we saw to illustrate this, Sarvesham buddhau raga dveshau vyavasthitau. In every buddhi, raga and dvesha are there. Not only are there, vyavasthitau means this is the setup by Ishvara. Raga dveshas are there. If you are born, raga dveshas will be there. And you can see that even in a 3-month-old child, if something displeases it, it will make a face. It will show anger. It will show sorrow. It will show displeasure. You can see that. So from birth it is there. Maybe carried from last life, who knows. So vyavasthitau means the arrangement. And who is the one making the arrangement? Now, the one who is making the arrangement is Bhagavan. Elsewhere also in the Bhagavad Gita, what is there? The statement, Kamosmi Bharatarshapha. I am in the form of desire. How is desire different from raga and dvesha? It is not. Desire morphs into raga and dvesha. Kama is the general term, desire, and then you like a few things, that is called raga, and then you dislike a few things, that is called dvesha. So the kama is, split into two from the standpoint of like and dislike. So it's actually the same. Both of them are the same. So then the kama, so sarvesham buddhau, first verse we have seen, sarvesham buddhau ragadveshau vyavasthitau. In every buddhi, raga and dvesha are there. This is Bhagavat Srishti, Bhagavan's arrangement. And then here, kamosmi bharatarshapha, I am in the form of desire. So wherever there is desire, there is Bhagavan. Can we say that? Yes, but after reading the fine print. What is the fine print in the second verse that we just quoted? Kamosmi bharatarshapha, dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshapha. I am that desire, O Arjuna, I am that desire which is in the form of which does not transgress dharma. I am that desire which does not transgress dharma. So therefore you cannot come to the conclusion that every desire is Bhagavan. Why? Because then, the desire for robbing a bank, and this is what is called selective and distorted Vedanta. So somebody attends a few classes and then without any qualifications, without dharma, without sattva, and then comes to the conclusion, if everything is Bhagavan, then my desire to rob a bank is also Bhagavan. And further they will say, I am a karma yogi. How come you are a karma yogi? How can you be a karma yogi? Because, I have brought Ishvara into the equation. Desire to rob a bank is Bhagavan. And I have done all the hard work. I have a getaway car. I have, scoped out all those, what are those red lines? Those laser lines. I have a cat suit to avoid those laser lines. And then, and then I have Ishvararpana Buddhi. You have Ishvararpana Buddhi. How? Well, there can be any number of outcomes. And I am okay with that. If I make away with the money and gold and everything, then well and good. The outcome is in keeping with my expectation. Ati uttamam. And then what? I have an estimation of how much money there is in this vault, but then if it exceeds that, even better, bahut badhiya, this is cause for celebration. And then, supposing it doesn't go my way, and then I have to, when I go in there, then the police are alerted, and then they come and I have to quickly make a getaway, and I don't get anything in hand. Oh, bhi theek hai, that is also, I am also okay with that. And then suppose, as we see in the movies, the alarm is triggered and one cage falls down on this person and the person is imprisoned right there. Then also it is okay, I'll go to jail. Prasada buddhi I have. So, this is not Bhagavan, okay? So then, then we are dealing with a kind of a dvaita, a duality. Why? Because one can say, like you say, everything is Bhagavan. In-laws are Bhagavan, outlaws are Bhagavan, bugs are Bhagavan, bugging people are Bhagavan, everything is Bhagavan, you yourself are saying. But then at the same time you are saying that the desires are Bhagavan, but only those desires that do not go against dharma. So then we are left with a very interesting duality. So there is dharmic desires, aka manifestation of Bhagavan, and adharmic desires. Then who is the cause of adharmic desires? And then one is left, we have this Advaita Hani, loss of Advaita. So therefore, this has to be understood properly. It is not that there is a duality, but since the human being is endowed with free will, the jiva has free will, and that free will is Bhagavan, and dharma is also Bhagavan. So you cannot transgress dharma, for the sake of Ishvara. You cannot do that, because both are Ishvara. And so therefore, when the free will, so to speak, as though diverges from Bhagavan's flow, this is what is called adharma. It's an aberration. And what kind of an aberration is it? It's a disturbance in the order. But when we look at the order from the standpoint of everything is Bhagavan, the disturbance is also included. The fact that there is dharma, the fact that people follow dharma and some people don't follow dharma, is all included in the vast order of Ishvara. So even though from the individual standpoint we say these desires are not blessed by Bhagavan, these desires are not valid, but from the standpoint of the samashti, samashti means total, vyashti individual. So from the standpoint of samashti, the total, everything is Bhagavan. So that's why in the Sri Rudram we say Naktancharebhyo Namaha. Namaha, my surrender and salutations to you in the form of nocturnal beings. Whether they are people who are ready to rob, or whether they are, beings that bite in the night, mosquitoes, etc. So they are all you. You are all the Lord for them. Meaning, you are in charge of their movements. And so it's a deliberate and an intelligent projection where it is so total that even disorder and disturbances are part of the order, an intentional part of the order. Otherwise, why would an adharmic person only steal from this one and not that one? There is another order intersecting, namely the karmic order. So there is some karma here, and then of course there is the abuse of free will on that person's part, which it's a combination. And so like this, the understanding has to be, our understanding has to be contoured, nuanced and complete. Otherwise we'll go away thinking that there are good desires and bad desires, and good desires are blessed by Bhagavan and bad desires will have to bring in some devil or something like that. And then it no longer will be Vedanta. It will be some other theology. So with this understanding, then we see that in both the places in the Bhagavad Gita where desire is discussed, there are very important caveats. In the first one, Sarvesham buddhau raga dveshau vyavasthitau. In every buddhi, raga and dvesha arrangement has been made. Then the second line says, Tayor vasham na agachet. This is from the third chapter. Don't come under their spell, O Arjuna. Tau hi asya paripanthinau. These are indeed your enemies. They are inimical to you. Meaning, yes, the arrangement is there. Just like the arrangement is there, like we saw in the earlier class, the arrangement is there for someone to act from the standpoint of prakrita buddhi. The bestial instincts are there, but it is part of the human growth to best the bestial instincts, to have to overcome them. That is definitely part of the human growth. That is also there. The ability to overcome it is also Ishvara. And so here, do not come under their spell, meaning it is optional to come under the spell of raga and dvesha. It is not some kind of a set in stone, or that there is no freedom here, because the free will is there. And as we have seen, sattva is the natural, instinctual nature of the person, and everyone naturally wants to be kinder than they are. Everyone wants to be better off than they are. Better off meaning character wise. They want to build their character. They want to be more accommodative. They want to have more patience. They want to be less reactive, more responsive. This is all, it is all naturally there. These, these kind of, the drive to be sattvic is already there. And so therefore, don't come under their spell means you have a certain say over this. This is not some kind of a predetermined thing that you will have raga dveshas, point number 1, and point number 2, that you will come under their spell all the time and you are just doomed to a life of ghora and mudha vrittis. No. So in the first verse that we saw, there is the element of human effort, free will, guided by the by dharma, etc. Then in the second verse, Sarvesha, the second verse, Kamosmi Bharatarshabha. I am indeed in the form of desire, but I am present in the desire that is unopposed to dharma. So, in desires that are opposed to dharma, then there is more of jiva, and there is the Ishvara's blessings are not there for that. Yet, adharma, the presence of adharma is there because Ishvara, from the standpoint of the paramarthika level, is not opposed. The order of Ishvara is not opposed to anything that we call bad, adharmic, etc. That is why when young Nachiketa, our Nachiketa, goes to Lord Yama to ask for the knowledge, he puts the question very, very cleverly. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra asmat krita akritat, anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha, yattad tadvada, yattad vedsi tadvada. So, the first thing he says is, teach me that, talk to me about that, unfold me that knowledge which you know, which is other than dharma and adharma, right and wrong, the concepts of good and bad, because that duality of dharma and adharma are on the level of the vyavaharika satta. Vyavaharika satta means the transactional, everyday, empirical reality. That is where the good, the bad, and the ugly, these distinctions are there. This is good, this is not good, and then one is, and this is the concepts of good and bad are based on what? Again we come back to the gunas, Maya Shakti. Trigunatmika Maya. So based on this only we say good and bad. So dharma, the dharmic person is sattvic, we saw that. And then when there is no sattva, raga dveshas preponderate, we are seeing that. And so this is on the level of the everyday reality. The dharma and adharma are expressions of the Maya Shakti's three gunas. So the concept of dharma and adharma are within the rubric, they fall within the rubric of the three gunas which this chapter is unfolding. So this is on the everyday level. Then we say we have to follow dharma. We tell the child, you cannot take this because it doesn't belong to you. We tell the child, go give it back because you haven't asked permission. It is not yours. It belongs to the other child. Go say sorry. Go. You cannot hit somebody just because you're having a ghora day. You cannot hit somebody. You cannot do this. So dharma is taught, and then dharma and karma are two sides of the same coin, because there is no other way of expressing dharma other than through karma. Because what is the use if you say, I know what is right and I have it in my heart, but I'll still behave however I want. It's in the behavior that the dharma is, the presence of dharma is understood, delineated, discerned. It is on the level of behavior alone. So behavior means what? Karma, actions. So the actions in the beginning are, one is told to make the actions dharmic. Why? Because dharma is an important avatara of Ishvara that can be very easily missed. So in following dharma, one grows into going with the flow. Going with the flow. Whose flow? Ishvara's flow. And of course, again, when I say Ishvara's flow, it's like saying Rahu's head. Rahu is all head. So where is Rahu's head going to come? So Ishvara is the flow. So going with the flow, which is another manifestation of Ishvara. And so there is a sense of, when one is following dharma, there is a sense of following Ishvara's laws, being at peace and living in harmony with Ishvara's laws. So then there is very little conflict in the heart. One feels close to Bhagavan from the standpoint of the devotee, from the standpoint of the individual, on the plane of the Vyavaharika, transactional reality. There is no conflict. One can sleep very nicely at night. One doesn't have guilt. One doesn't have a sense of, I should have done this, why didn't I do this, why did anybody else do this, because one is a bhakta. This is for the human growth. Dharma, that's why it is the first purushartha. And then, after dharma is deliberately followed, and then it becomes natural, then dharma is not needed. Not needed at all. It is a model. Karma is a model. So the dharma karma model is just to be able to drive properly. It's like those small spare wheels, training wheels on a child's bicycle. One side dharma, another side karma, and then the road, one has to follow the road. And so one is, the child cannot steer properly. The child is afraid of falling off and doesn't know how to steer, doesn't know how to balance. And so the parents put these wheels. And after the child knows how to balance, the wheels come off. Similarly, the individual learns to follow dharma, and then after that what happens? Then one reaches a place. Ko vidhihi ko nishedhaha. There are no injunctions for this person and no prohibitions. In the Kaushitaki Upanishad, where Lord Indra is the teacher for a change. Usually Indra is cast as the student. Chandogya Upanishad, Indra is the student. Everywhere else also, even in Kena Upanishad, Indra is the student. And here, Indra has now become a teacher in the Kaushitaki Upanishad. And there is our student there is one king who had led a very dharmic life. His name in the Upanishad is Pratardana. So King Pratardana, having been a model king and having led an extremely dharmic life, goes to, of course, to heaven, goes to Swarga, and since his dies and goes to Swarga, and since he is such a dharmic king, Indra himself goes to receive him and says, O king, ask for whatever you want, and it will be fulfilled, because I'm so pleased with the kind of an impeccable, above board life that you have led. And the king doesn't know what to ask for. It's like if you go to a French restaurant and the menu is all in French and you don't know French, neither the cuisine nor the language. French language is completely opposite to Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, it is 100% phonetic. What you see is what you get. And you pronounce each and every syllable that you see. But in French, the French, of course, is spoken with the first inch of the upper lip and half an inch of the lower lip. It's just right there, like a little bird. Very beautiful to hear, but very difficult to follow, especially for us with Sanskrit and Indian language background. And half the words in the language are silent, and the other half are not pronounced as they look. So this is French. And then so you go to this restaurant and all these things, this is what you can't say, and you don't even know what it means. And then you don't want to be embarrassed. So you just give the menu to the person who invited you and say, you just order whatever you think I will like. You please do that. And you just, give up your volition here simply because you don't know what to ask for. Same thing Pratardana does here. And he says, I don't know what is good for me. Oh Lord, Indra, you please teach me whatever you think is the best thing for me. And so Indra says, this Brahma Vidya is the best thing, and I am going to teach you. And then the teaching starts with a very kind of a jolting teaching. It says that the one who has gained this knowledge, the one who is a jnani, can commit matricide, can commit patricide. Patricide means killing your own parents. You could do that. And then what? Not a hair on the person's head is disturbed. Meaning that if somebody who is a jnani indulges in killing their own parents, for example, that means that this was something needed for the Jagat. Like even Krishna killing Kamsa, or even a better example, Hiranyakashipu being outed by his own son. So like this, there are examples, and these examples go to show that the dharma from the standpoint of the paramarthika level includes adharma, includes the opposite of it. The shadow side of dharma is also there, because that which is paramarthika, that which is Ishvara, transcends both of them. Similarly, the person of knowledge doesn't have the pressure to be sattvic, because the person already is dharmic and sattvic. The person is on a different level than the ones for whom these verses are given. So this much we have to understand. So now that this is understood, so the desires that are not dharmic come under the spell of what? Raga and Dvesha. Because then they in turn gives rise to Mudha vritti and Ghora vrittis. Tamasic and Rajasic vrittis drive the desires senseless. And the desire itself is not important. The desires that are driven by raga and dvesha, they put a pressure on the individual for those desires to be fulfilled. Yash shaknoti ihaiva sodhum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodhod bhavam vegam sabuddhiman sasukhi naraha. Again the Bhagavad Gita, which is of course an expert in raga dvesha psychology. And here what does the Gita says? The one that has the capacity of letting go right here in this body the pressure of the raga dveshas, Kama krodhodbhavam vegam. Vegam means pressure. The raga dveshas are just there. Sarvesham buddhau vyavastithau. They are there in every buddhi. But do not come under their spell means what? Watch out, they create a certain pressure. Pressure for what? Pressure to not conform to what is correct, what is right. Pressure to not conform to Samanya Dharma, Vishesha Dharma and Swadharma. That is their problem. This is where the pressure is. And then when you cut corners, you take a shortcut and then transgress dharma, then of course one attracts not only papa in the here and the hereafter, but one attracts a big bad mood right here. One is under the spell of ghora and modha vrittis. So with this, let us look at verse number 14. We are going into some very interesting verses. गृहक्षेत्रादि विषये यदा कामो भवेत् तदा गृहक्षेत्रादि विषये यदा कामो भवेत् तदा राजसस्यास्य कामस्य घोरत्वात् तत्र नो सुखम्. Very sad and very interesting also for our study. Griha. Griha means house. Kshetra is a field. Here it doesn't mean field, it means acreage, real estate, land. Griha kshetradi, adipadat, some other things like real estate, house, land, so many other things that come under that category. Any kind of a thing to make a profit. And then gold also can be there. Anything that's an investment comes under this land, house, etc. Griha kshetradi vishaye, in the subject matter of houses, lands, etc. Yada kamaha bhavet, when there is a desire to acquire these above mentioned objects. Tada, at that time, Rajasasya, Rajasasya means of the desire, kamasya, of the desire that is in the form of rajas, born of rajas. Rajasaha means born of rajas. Rajasasya, asya kamasya, then of this desire which is in the spell of rajas, and how and why we'll see that shortly. Ghoratvat, because of the restless quality, agitated quality. Tatra no sukham. What does no in Sanskrit mean? Same thing as in English. Na-u. No sukham. No sukham. No sukham at all. I love it when these things happen, you know. Rope, snake. Why is it called rope? Because there is aropa. Same thing here. No sukham. No sukham, etc. No sukham you can expect. No happiness can be expected. Tatra, in that place, in the place where the desire is there, then sukha is not there. How? Why? Because the acquisition of something itself said, the desire to acquire something, even before that thing is acquired, the desire is born. And and how is that born? This the Bhagavad Gita lays out a very nice road map of the human being's descent into tamas, into rajas and tamas. Dhyayatah vishayan pumsah. For the person who is contemplating, has a fancy that is born in the mind. It can't be quite called a desire because there is just a fancy. Oh, how wonderful it will be if I just acquired some acreage in a small town and then along with that a house. How nice. I would wake up to the sound of the birds chirping. No neighbors to disturb, no traffic. I think that's where I should retire. It's not quite a desire. One is just having what is called in Sanskrit manorajya. It is some kind of a fanciful daydreaming. No harm in that, right? Wrong, according to both Panchadashikara and also the Bhagavad Gita. Because this kind of an idle daydreaming, then it does, you don't even know when that fancy takes a foothold in the heart. Everybody dreams of retirement. That's kind of a universal dream. Somehow not to be disturbed. Array, the point is to not to be disturbed right now, when you are not retired. If you think you are not disturbed when you are not retired, if you think you will be not disturbed after you retire, and you are disturbed now, there is no way after retirement, post-retirement, you will not be disturbed. You will be disturbed. Because wherever you go, there you are. You can leave the job, but what about the mind that has gone along with you? Where will you leave it? Wherever you go, there you are. So the vrittis will go along with you. So don't wait for retirement. And instead of dreaming about land, let the antahkarana be the kshetra, which is cleared of the underbrush, so that Bhagavat Satta, the existence of Bhagavan can shine in the form of Sattva Guna. You want a house? Then make sure that you take a broom of Vedanta and sweep up all the cobwebs in the Antahkarana right now. You want house and land? Learn first how to be at home with yourself. How to be at home with yourself. That is more important. So the fancies take a foothold when no one knows. Dhyayatah, the one who is keeping on contemplating, first time the desire comes, it's cute, how nice, I'll have a house, I'll have land, I will retire. And then I want all these things. Sometimes the person is very clever and convinces themselves, I want all these things in order to study Vedanta. It's like the person who wants to meditate. The person who wants to meditate should just sit down and meditate, simple. No, I need a cushion to meditate. Okay, go buy a cushion to meditate. Then how will I know how long I have been meditating? Then I need one of those, that singing bell. What is that called? Tibetan singing bell. It's some kind of a nice brass bell which is tuned to different notations, and then a little wooden gong is given, and so that singing bell, very expensive if you get the authentic one. And then what? That too needs a little cushion, we find out. Why? Because if you put it on the floor, it will not give that nice gongy noise. So by the time you buy all this, you're so tired, you just don't even meditate. That's exactly the thing. For the person who says, I want space in order to study Vedanta, I want time in order to study Vedanta, and after retirement I'll have so much time and so much space. Yes, you will, but then you won't study Vedanta. You know why? Because you'll be busy taking care of the land and taking care of the house. Because all that acreage, then you'll say, I need a mower, and I need a backhoe, and I need this, and I need that. That is what happens. And so therefore, so it doesn't take long. First, the desire is cute, it's a fancy, and then it grows into a monster, and it scares you out of your own wits. Dhyayatah vishayan pumsah sangaha teshu upajayate. Sangaha means now it is a full-fledged desire, and it has grown claws, and it is clinging on to you. Like a cat clinging to a screen door. It doesn't know how to get off. You don't know how to make it get off. It is clinging. The desire is clinging on to you. And then Sangat, from this attachment and this longing, Sangha, this association with the desire, where in the mind? Sanjayate kamaha. Kama comes. And then after kama comes, what happens? Then you start pursuing this desire very, very, astutely. You start looking into real estate. You start telling people, I want to do this. You start going looking for lands and houses. And then what? The market is wrong. Why? Because you are about to buy something. That is why the real estate market is wrong. If you were not thinking of buying, then it would just be a buyer's market. But right now it's not a buyer's market because it's just, it's the pandemic and everybody is frightened and the home prices are going through the roof. So the timing is everything. And so karmically, so for you, this is what is happening. And then what? Sangat sanjayate kamaha, and then that kama cannot be fulfilled. Everything is expensive. Whatever you like in the house is not there. The land is facing the wrong way. And then Vastu is not there. Vastu means Indian Feng Shui. So the Feng Shui is not there. And then what else? It is facing west. That's the worst. That's the worst direction, because along with the sun, all your profits will also set over the horizon. All your good karma will set over the horizon. So don't buy anything west facing. And in America, the Indian real estate agents have become very clever. They will have full developments. I went to visit somebody's house on the outskirts of Atlanta. They had just bought a house and they invited me to come and see. And then all the houses are facing east or north. They had made the whole development like that in order to lure, superstitious Indian customers. So this is how they had done that. Vastu believing customers. So like this, it is all wrong. This one is not the correct way. This one is not right. And the kitchen is not a dream kitchen. The house is not a dream house. And then moreover, let's say you find just the perfect thing. It is fantastic. It is facing east and the other door is also facing north. You cannot go wrong with this kind of a house. All wonderful things are there. And then, you believe in signs, like a follower of Carl Jung, because everything is a sign. And so when you drive to go see this place, you see some Garudas in the sky, eagles soaring and circling above. Oh, fantastic sign. And then you meet somebody and then who is very friendly, another sign. And so like this you get some auspicious signs, and then the excitement grows. Oh, this must be it. And you love the house. You fall in love with the house. Emphasis on fall. Okay, yeah, more about that later. You fall in love with the house. And then fir kya, what happens? Then you see the price tag. What is the price tag? Something that you cannot afford. But why is this house so expensive? You ask the realtor. Because it is everyone's dream house, not just yours. And then because we can charge, we are charging. So then there is no way. You make frenzied calls to your banks. And then, there is no loan possible. Because there is no loan possible, everybody you call, no loan, no loan. And because there is no loan possible, you feel all alone. And then what? Anger comes. Sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodhaha abhijayate. Anger comes. Severe anger comes. And that anger leads one to forget one's values, forget dharma, forget what you are all about. And so, how can there be happiness? Kamat krodhaha abhijayate, krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Sammohaha means this delusion. Delusion. You scold the real estate, the realtor. You put a curse on the house. You do all kinds of things. And then there is no peace of mind. And then what happened? Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. And then you forget who you are. You forget that this is just a house. This is not worth losing my peace of mind. And then Smriti Bhramshat, when this happens, Buddhi Nashaha. The Buddhi is compromised because it is colonized by Ghora pravrittis and Tamasic pravrittis, Moodha pravrittis. Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. The person himself, herself is destroyed. Bhagavad Gita puts this trajectory of this downward descent into adharma when being under the spell of raga and dveshas. And the next few verses are Panchadashikara, Swami Vidyaranya's own version of what happens. So, Grihakshetradi Vishaye Yada Kamo Bhavet Tada, when there is desire for houses, lands, and all kinds of things, when there is a desire for that, then because of the preponderance of rajas in the desire, when the rajas is present in the desire, because of this terrifying fact, there is no happiness. How can there be happiness? Because the rajas creates disturbance. Tamas creates disturbance. What kind of disturbance? Let's see here in verse number 15. Siddhyena vetsyasti dukkham asiddhau tad vivardhate. Siddhyena vetsyasti dukkham asiddhau tad vivardhate. Pratibandhe bhavet krodhah द्वेषो वा प्रतिकूलयतः. प्रतिबन्धे भवेत् क्रोधः द्वेषो वा प्रातिकूलयतः. Yeah, I said pratikoolayata, pratikulayata. Okay. So this is why the mind is a mess when under the spate of raga and dvesha. Because every raga and every dvesha is driven to the mind from the unconscious with the help of little carts called Ghora Vritti and the Tamasa Vritti. So these vrittis they are carriers, they are vahakas, they are vehicles that carry the ragadveshas. So there is an affinity between the ragadveshas, strong ragadveshas, which are made stronger by the carriers in the form of these vrittis, these gunas. Siddhyet nava. Will this succeed? Oh my God, I have called 3 banks, the loan is not yet come. Will this succeed? OMG, will this succeed for me? Nava or not? Iti, in this manner, asti dukkham. There is already sorrow before the answer comes from the bank. Or let's say you get the loan, but before that the owners say, sorry, we had already done this bidding, somebody already offered more than you and we have accepted that offer. Oh my God, let nobody bid on it till I get the answer from the bank. Siddhyet nava, will this come to fruition or not? Will this come to fruition or not? Iti, in this manner, asti dukkham. Asiddhau, in the event of that not succeeding, the deal has slipped through your fingers, even as you were looking, the deal has slipped through your fingers. Then asiddhau, tat means what? Tat dukkham, that sorrow vivardhate. So in failure, asiddhau, what happens? The misery just increases. Naturally, misery increases. First, when you are denied by the bank or when somebody else buys the house, in any event, you are not the owner of the house. You did not get what you wanted. First, you are engulfed by misery. Where is Shanta Vritti? Nowhere to be seen. You are engulfed by misery first and foremost. And then what happens? Then even the anticipation brings misery. And then in the event of not getting your way, the misery increases. Naturally, the misery keeps on increasing. Pratibandhe, if there is a block, bhavet krodhaha. Anger comes. when the desire is blocked. This is actually very, wonderful, a wonderful conclusion, and a wonderful opening for us for anger management. Whenever there is anger in the heart, it is not because of the situation that one is facing at hand, but instead it is because a desire has been thwarted. And when we think of desire, don't think of it like a house, land, etc. That's not the desire we are talking about. It could be even a belief, a notion, a viewpoint that was critiqued by somebody that you were holding on to. It could also be a pet peeve that someone, stopped in its tracks. So this is the cause of anger. Generally, when anger comes, it is directed outwards, is it not? We immediately assume that you are the cause of my anger. Whatever that the hapless person who happens to be in front of one is immediately blamed. You are always doing this. It's because of you I did this. And until you came along, I was very peaceful. I had Shanta Vritti, I had the blessings of Shanta Vritti until you came along and you made me tamasic, you made me rajasic. Not true. Not true at all. And so, this is a very good clue. This, Krodha, when the kama is thwarted, Krodha comes. So Krodha is the effect of kama not fulfilled. Very, very important to understand this. And then when this is understood, then it becomes very easy for making progress in anger management. So when the anger comes and it is sensed in the heart, immediately go back and see which desire was thwarted. Make peace with that. Make peace with that desire. Make peace with the desiring inner child who actually wants moksha but doesn't know how to ask for it. It's like a hungry toddler who says, I want to play, when it is actually hungry or sleepy. So this is, this is where one can do some inner housekeeping. Pratibandhe, we can memorize this expression. Pratibandhe bhavet krodha. The cause of anger is obstacles to desire. Dvesho va pratikulayatah. Pratikulayatah means, there is obstacles to success. Pratikulaha means when things go against. Pratikula means against. Pratikulaha means that which is born of the inimical forces. So when the desire is thwarted, it could be, what is the difference between pratibandha and pratikulayatah? So pratibandha means it could be a temporary obstacle. Pratikulayatah means when everything goes opposite of what you wanted. Pratikulayatah. So then that seems that it is just, they are severe obstacles to gaining what you want. Anger rises, and then when those obstacles turn into oppositional forces, pratikulayatah, then there is hatred. So in the example that he has given of the house, land, etc., so pratibandha is when the bank says, you will not get this loan, sorry. Obstacle. Okay? Then there is anger. And then what? Then pratikulayatah means the deal is already gone because the house has been sold to another buyer. They did not wait for your offer. They gave it to somebody that they felt comfortable with. So now there is no more hope of getting this particular house. And this is where then there is the mixture of anger and sorrow. Anger and sorrow nicely stirred. And It's like some kind of two unknown chemicals in in a chemistry lab. You don't even know. It looks interesting, so you mix the two and then it blows up. This is why ragadveshas need to be managed. Next verse. अशक्यश्चेत् प्रतीकारः विषादस्यात् स तामसः अशक्यश्चेत् प्रतीकारः विषादस्यात् स तामसः क्रोधादिषु महद्दुःखं सुखशङ्कापि दूरतः क्रोधादिषु महद्दुःखं सुखशङ्कापि दूरतः. Very nice. So, ashakyah. Ashakyah means the house is now gone. Shakyah, possible. Ashakyah, this is no longer possible. Impossible is the scenario of you getting this house. Any other house, perhaps, but this house, no. Or even worst case scenario, the seller says this house is no longer for sale. I want to live in it. Sorry, I changed my mind. Finished. So the opposition is too formidable. And then what happens? Then there is ashakyaschet. Pratikaraha. This pratikara means it is not, pratikara means the obstacle is too big. So the pratikara, the obstacle, ashakyah. Ashakyah means impossible to cross. Tartum ashakyah, we have to add that. Tartum, in order to cross, it is impossible. Then the ghora vritti descends further into tamasika vritti. The spiral, the descent is very nicely described here. The ghora vritti descends helplessly into tamasa vritti. Why? Even as you watch, because the forces are too formidable to overcome. Ashakyah. So the pratikaraha ashakyah. And so the pratikara, the opposition, the oppositional forces are too formidable to overcome. Then what happens? Then the tamasa vritti preponderates in the form of what? Vishada. Vishada means hopelessness. Oh no. See, hopelessness means there is a pattern there. There is a habit pattern there. Last time also I didn't get this. Even when I was small, the balloons, the biscuits and the chocolates used to go to the stupid elder sibling. I never got anything. I was the youngest, and then I always wore hand-me-downs, and nobody cared whatever happened to me, because the parents were all been there, done that. If I fell down, they would say, "Oh, come on, get up, it's just a scratch." Whereas the elder one got so much love and attention because the parents were also, at the time, they were just growing to be parents. So this is the lament of the youngest child. Do you think the eldest child is any better, feeling wonderful? No, the eldest child has its own lament. Oh, I was parentified. Parentified means I was made responsible, and right from my childhood. And then what else? I had to take care of the younger siblings. And always I was told, give it, you have already played with it, give it. The other one is crying, give the toy, give it up. And the parents always preferred the younger one, and I didn't have anything, and the parents didn't know what they were doing. They were just like guinea pigs. I was like a guinea pig. Oh, maybe better to be the middle child. Neither the difficulties of the elder one, nor the difficulties of the younger one. Well, the middle child has its own problems. The middle child says, I was neither the eldest nor the youngest, nor was I the only boy, nor was I the only girl, and then therefore everybody I was not even noticed. I was neglected. And besides, I had to be the mediator between the older and the younger siblings who were fighting all the time. So, all these issues are there. I am neglected. I am not wanted. The parents preferred some other child. These issues are the seeds of hopelessness which are watered by the rajas and tamas vrittis in the present time. The seeds belong to the past. Right now they suddenly spurt. They just, there is a growth spurt. Oh, spiritual growth spurt? No. Tamasic and rajasic growth spurt. They grow, they are nurtured, watered by the vritti of the present. The watering is just a re-stimulation, a trigger. The seeds of hopelessness are there, they are just ghouls there, they are hiding behind, ready to come out and haunt you. That is why the collective unconscious is seen as a being of Ghora and Tamas vrittis, as a being sitting at the feet of Lord Dakshinamurti. And you know the name of this being? Apasmara, the one who haunts through previous memories. What a lovely name for this unconscious. Apasmara, the one who haunts with the help of previous memories. Nothing is from the present. Because if you are in the present, this is just be an event. Yes, I liked the house. Fact. Yes, I wanted it very much. Fact. Well, I could not get the loan. Fact. Therefore, I am not going to get this house. Fact. You move on. You have that much faith. Okay, something else. Too bad. It didn't happen. But because these seeds are there, the inner apasmara, if it is not dedicated to Bhagavan and given to Bhagavan to keep and babysit, this is what the devotion is all about. I yield my inner apasmara and give it to Bhagavan. Let Bhagavan take care of it. I don't have the pressure to take care of it. This is something which is very, very beautiful. And so when I have the pressure to water these memories from the past, and the pressure of the desires makes the memories watered, and then they grow, they sprout, and then they flower, and then another generation of them starts. These are all triggers from the present. And so Apasmara, at the foot of Lord Nataraja or Dakshinamurti, you find this small being. From a distance it looks like a child. You go close, it has facial hair, it has a moustache. And then it looks scary. It has a dagger in one hand and it has a shield in the other. The offensive and defensive inner child, completely bathed in Ghora and Tamasa vrittis, Ghora and Mudha vrittis, full of Tamas and Rajas, defensive. Anybody cannot say anything. You know, you did that the other day. You know, that was not quite right. Can you do it differently? No, this is how I do it and I'm fine and you shouldn't be telling me all these things. Defensive. And offensive, because sometimes offense is the best form of defense. Why not? And so, this is the inner child. Pujya Swamiji had a wonderful word for this inner child. He called it the ninja, mutant, ninja turtle. This is what it was. And all the time defending itself. It is just so vulnerable, like a turtle out of its shell. And it is just so worried of being hurt. It is insecure. These are all things that one has to take care of. The insecurity has to be loved up, not by the significant other, by you. You have to be the parent to this inner child in the form of these vrittis. Otherwise, they are always stimulated, always raw, always on the surface, and the present just goes away. One is always regurgitating the past, like having acid reflux of Ghora and Tamasa vrittis all the time. So what is the antacid? The antacid is devotion. The antacid is Vedanta. The cure is Vedanta. The temporary antacid is devotion. That is how one takes care of this regurgitation. And so, ashakyaha chet pratikaraha, if the pratikara, if the opposition is impossible to overcome, there is despondency. Why? Because this despondency is tamasaha. Tamasaha idam tamasaha. So, belonging to tamas. See how we are descending from rajas to tamas. This is how. Then, krodhadhishu mahad dukkham. Mahad dukkham, great misery indeed because of anger. In anger, etc., in all these difficult emotions, there is a two-layer reaction. First, I am angry. Second, I am angry that I am angry. Third, I am sad that I am angry that I am angry. You see how it is all just entangled. Then one is guilty for becoming angry. One is desperate and one is in despondency for becoming angry. Then one is sad that one is sad. Great misery. Sukha Shanka api. Shanka means even a doubt of happiness is not there in this scenario. If there is a doubt, is there happiness? You can rest that doubt because there is no possibility of happiness. Finished. No chance of happiness is there. Durataha means the chance of happiness is far away. Oh, where is it? It's in the next galaxy. It is not even in this galaxy where we abide. It is in another galaxy. So far away. How did I come this far? What happened? Well, this is the descent into, first into rajas and then into tamas, and they control the mind. They manage the mind instead of you managing them. They have taken over the driver's seat and are driving you, the jiva, into a ditch. Just like the Ratha Kalpana, the chariot imagery in the Kathopanishad. Dushtashvaha iva sarathehe. So when the horses, the sense organs are drunk with desire, with the alcohol of desire, and then what? The Sarathi, the mind, which represents the driver, the mind buddhi, sorry. So the buddhi which represents the driver cannot manage these horses. And then the driver also is absent, in the sense the driver also is driven senseless, and then the chariot along with you, the jiva, lands in a ditch instead of being driven nicely on the road of dharma. Lands in a ditch. This we see in a beautiful imagery in the Kathopanishad. Now, if supposing someone were to say, these Vedantins keep talking about the worst scenarios all the time. You didn't get the house, you didn't get the land, and then somebody else bought it. Not only you didn't get the house, there is no possibility of you getting any other house, because when you called in to the bank said you can only get this much loan. Enough to buy the bathroom in the house. Okay, not the whole house. So then, this being the scenario, there is so much misery. These Vedantins, in order to give us Vairagya, this is the student's lament, okay? Only talk of bad scenarios. Only talk of impossible scenarios. And of course we'll become depressed, naturally. What if I did get the house? What happens then? Well, Svatmavidyananda obliges in verse number 17. Kamyalabhe harsha vrittihi shanta tatra mahat sukham. Kamyalabhe harsha vrittihi shanta tatra mahat sukham. Bhoge mahattaram labha prasakta vishadevahi. Bhoge mahattaram labha prasakta vishadevahi. Okay, no problem. We look at the other scenario just because you asked. so that no one can accuse Vedanta texts of just giving the doomsday scenario of what happens if you follow your karma, and this krodha will come, and then some moha will come, and then you will descend into despair. How sad. But what if you get the house? Okay, kamya labhe. Kamya means object of desire. Kama, desire, kamyate, iti, kamaha, so desire. And then kamya means kama yogyaha, that which is worth desiring, meaning object of desire. So labhe, in the event of gaining the object of desire, this is what the word, this is what the phrase kamya labhe means. Kamya labhe, in the event of acquiring the desired object, what happens? Harshavrittihi syat. Harshavrittihi means the person jumps into the air. Elation is there. You can't believe it. Like a person who washed the lottery ticket in the pant pocket. These stories we hear all the time. Then it came out, half of it was gone, but enough grace was there so that the numbers could be read. And then they discovered it after the pant came out of the wash. They discovered it. But then what happened? They just put it somewhere. They just put it in the garbage. Then they found out that this was the winning ticket. Mega millions. Then frantically they looked in the garbage and they found the ticket. Thank God. Thank God. Ha! And then it is the winning ticket. Think about the elation. This elation is called Harshavrittihi. Harshavrittihi. It is not Satvika Vritti. It is the other side of Ghora Vritti. It is the other side of Rajas, uncontrolled elation, which is as bad as uncontrolled despair. Unmanaged elation, where immediately you think nothing bad can ever happen to me because I am at the helm of this, because I have won this, everything is now going to be just like this only. So this is Harsha Vritti. And then after a while, that Harsha Vritti becomes Shanta. Shanta here is not Sattva. It is just connected to Harsha Vritti. This uncontrolled elation just becomes calmed down a little bit. Then one experiences a lot of happiness, because the desired object was gained. Bhoge, in the enjoyment of this happiness or the object of happiness, mahattaram labha, great happiness. And then prasaktau means in the event of gaining it, ishadevahi. Ishat means little bit. Indeclinable word, ishat, little bit. So, even the prospect of gaining it, there is a little bit of happiness. So here, again we are talking of gradations of happiness. And where are these gradations of happiness described in the Taittiriya Upanishad? Not just in the Ananda Mimamsa that we saw in the earlier class, but elsewhere. And we will see that in the next class. What is this? What is this gradations of happiness, and how to distinguish the gradations of happiness from the Swarupananda, which is oneself. We'll see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.